Best stories are always accompanied by a test, some indication that leave us uncomfortable and with the benefit of the doubt. An image say more than 1,000 words. That is why we shut up after a few seconds after seeing an image, and of course more if it has a chilling story behind. Viola Peters was a well-off spinster living alone in the small town of McAfee, Georgia in 1900s. She was loved in her community for her charitable contribution to the local Baptist church, soap kitchen, and orphanage, especially during the Depression, when those institutions were sustained almost entirely on their bounty. In June 1935, Viola was brutally raped and murdered by a homeless man named Tom Scollin, who had briefly worked at the nearby Cooper refinery. Collins proceeded to stay in the house of Viola and practiced necrophilia with her body. 17 days later, she was surprised and captured. A mob of enraged locals broke into the county jail, grave Collin, and threw him from the old bridge from the Topeka River. This photo was taken by Garen Quillian, a witness to the lynching. Most people thought the spirit of Viola. He got some peace by watching the execution of his assassin, but some twisted minds saw in his countenance, seeing in the expression on her face, a desperate longing for one last look at his only lover. Denver State Hospital, formerly Denver Mental Asylum, was a Kirkbride-style psychiatrist hospital built in 1874 in what was then isolated site in rural Massachusetts. All Kirkbride Asylum were famous for their Gothic architecture and their uses of horrendous medical techniques to treat now obsolete dementias. Denver is often cited as the birthplace of the frontal lobotomy, a surgical incision in the brain lobe. Denver was other claims to fame. There was the inspiration for the fictional character Arkham Sanitarium, who appear in several H.P. Lovecraft, in which in turn inspired the Arkham Asylum in the fictional universe of Batman. It was also where the cult horror movie Session 9 was filmed. The movie showed the vast network of tunnel under Denver with good cinematic result. It is not coincidence that those who made choice to use the tunnels with all those disturbing rumors that had haunted Denver for over 100 years. It was easy to be tempted. One of the most famous true stories concerned Sarah Austas, a patient who escaped from her prison in 1955 and sneaked into the tunnel system. Despite multiple research and a week-long block from the asylum, Sarah was never seen another once. She was supposed to die there of thirst, lost and alone in the dark. A nurse in Denver named stories and spent much of her free hours in the tunnels looking for her remains, although a body was never found. She did with this photo in late 1966, suggesting that Sarah Austas walks the tunnel of Denver to this day. Lily Palmer was 4 years old when she experienced what her doctors would later call an accurate onset of sensory hallucination on Halloween night, 1952. Lily's mother, Annette, took a picture of Lily with her babysitter as they proposed to take a round of trick-or-treat, when suddenly the girl began to scream and scratch her eyes. It was some time before she was calm enough to speak, but when asked what she saw, Lily spoke repeatedly about the things that were creeping into her eyes. Several days later, unsupervised in her bedroom, Lily pierced both eyes with her mother's knitting needle. After receiving medical treatment, she was institutionalized for the rest of her life, first at the Bellevue in Manhattan and later at the Rockland Psychiatry Center in Orenburg, where she remained until she died of a heart attack in March 2001. A call to one of her former caregivers in Rockline confirms that Lily's episodes were most traumatic on around Halloween night. This is the photo her mother took on Halloween nights. Have a nice night, little pig. If you like the video, press the like button. I'd invite you to subscribe to the channel to continue enjoying horrible videos at night. I share with you some videos so you can continue enjoying. And always remember, have a nice night, little pig.